When God is preparing to bless a woman with something extraordinary, the first sign is often not what we expect. It is not ease, not comfort. It is discomfort. A strange unease begins to stir inside her. Her old routines no longer satisfy her. The conversations she used to enjoy feel shallow. The relationships she clings to begin to feel distant. Even if no words have been spoken, she begins to feel like she doesn't belong in the life she has lived for years. But this discomfort is not a punishment. It is a spiritual contraction before the birth of something new, like the earth trembles before it releases new life. Her soul trembles before God brings the breakthrough. This unrest is holy. It's a whisper from heaven. Get ready, I'm doing something new in you. At first, she may resist it. She may cling to the familiar, but over time she starts to see this discomfort as guidance. Her soul is expanding. Her spirit is preparing to hold something greater. She starts questioning everything. Her job, her friendships, her purpose. It is a sacred kind of chaos. One that breaks illusions. One that shatters old patterns. This feeling doesn't mean she's lost. It means she's being realigned. When she feels like she's being pulled in every direction, it is because God is repositioning her. She is being removed from places that cannot go where God is taking her. She starts shedding identities that were never hers to keep. The people she once needed, she no longer relies on. The places she found comfort in become uncomfortable. She is being stretched to grow into the woman she's destined to be. In these moments, doubt may come. She may ask, God, why are you making everything fall apart? But the truth is, nothing is falling apart, everything is falling into place. Because before a woman is crowned with grace, she must be stripped of the things that held her back. Her inner world must be made ready for outer blessings. The key is not to fight this discomfort. The key is to sit with it, to breathe through it, to understand that her spirit is trying to tell her something. The unease she feels is not anxiety, it's divine preparation. And those who rush this phase often miss the blessing. So she learns to become still, to listen, to pray, to wait. Because the woman who trusts the process of discomfort becomes the woman who walks with power. She doesn't run from change anymore. She welcomes it. She doesn't hold on to the old with clenched fists. She opens her hands and receives what's next. And one day, she wakes up, the heaviness lifts, the clarity arrives, and everything she had to release makes space for everything she was meant to receive. This is the first sign, an inner unrest that leads to divine rest, a holy discontent that breaks open the path to her blessing. Because when God is about to bless a woman, He doesn't always give her peace first. He gives her a reason to rise. When a woman is about to be transformed, she is first pulled into solitude, not to be forgotten, but to be remembered by the divine. One of the most powerful signs that God is preparing to bless a woman is her desire to retreat, to pull away from noise, from the world, from conversations that once filled her days. She begins to feel a need for silence. She longs for stillness. She chooses to be alone, not out of sadness, but because something sacred is stirring within her. This solitude is not loneliness. It is divine separation. It is God pulling her away from distractions so He can speak to her heart without interruption. In this season, people might misunderstand her. They may say she's become distant, that she's changed, that she's not herself. But the truth is, she is becoming more herself than ever before. In the quiet, she begins to hear the whispers she once ignored. She sees the red flags she once excused. She remembers dreams she buried long ago. She reflects not on who the world says she is, but on who she truly is. This isolation is sacred. It is not emptiness, it is preparation. She may cry without knowing why. She may walk without a destination, but every moment she spends alone is drawing her closer to clarity, to purpose, to God. Because blessings require room, And sometimes the only way to create room in a woman's life is to clear out the noise. In this isolation, she detoxes not just from people but from old mindsets, from fear, from shame, from every voice that made her feel small. She begins to remember who she is, and more importantly, who she is. She realizes that not everyone can come with her into the next chapter, not every friendship is aligned with her future, not every relationship is built for where she's going. And in this stillness, she finally has the strength to let go. This is not weakness, this is divine awareness. Because a woman who learns to stand alone becomes a woman who can never be shaken. Her foundation shifts from the opinions of others to the presence of God, and that is unbreakable. In this solitude, she may also feel fear, but even fear in this context is sacred, because fear is only the sign that her soul is expanding into something unfamiliar, and the unfamiliar is often where miracles live. When she chooses solitude, she is choosing to align her spirit with something greater. She is choosing to trust the unseen. She is choosing to surrender control. And in doing so, she receives power. This is why some of the greatest women of purpose had a season of isolation, because in the stillness, their calling was confirmed, their strength was refined, their vision was reborn. So when a woman suddenly desires to be alone, it is not a red flag. It is a divine invitation. It means God is calling her into the quiet to prepare her for something loud, loud in impact, loud in transformation, loud in blessing. She is not disappearing, she is developing. And soon, when she emerges from that quiet, she will walk with a grace that only solitude can shape, with a voice that only silence can strengthen, with a wisdom that only time with God can birth. This is the second sign, a divine solitude that feels like stillness on the outside, but is sacred fire on the inside. Because when God is about to bless a woman, He first makes sure she can hear His voice above all others. When God prepares a woman for elevation, He doesn't just add blessings, He removes burdens. When God is about to bless a woman with something divine, she often doesn't receive something new right away. Instead, she begins to experience loss. At first, it may seem confusing, heartbreaking even. People start walking out of her life, opportunities she counted on suddenly disappear. Positions she worked hard to keep begin to slip through her fingers. Relationships that once gave her identity begin to dissolve. But this isn't destruction, this is divine decluttering, because when a woman is about to be elevated, God must first remove anything that can't survive at her new level. Just like a rocket must shed its weight to rise, she must let go of the things that would weigh her down. She may not understand it in the moment. She may cry over the loss, she may mourn what once made her feel whole, but in her spirit, something begins to shift. She realizes that these things were not taken from her, they were taken off her. What once defined her, a title, a relationship, a role, no longer holds power over her identity. She starts to see herself beyond what she does, beyond who she's connected to, beyond what the world labels her as. This is painful, but it's sacred pain. It is the kind of pain that leads to freedom. Because God is not in the business of giving shallow blessings. He blesses deep, and deep blessings require deep preparation. Sometimes this means that she will feel like she's being stripped, but this stripping is a return to her core, a return to the woman she was before the world told her who to be, a return to her true self. And in this process, she learns something powerful. She is not what she lost. She is who she becomes in the aftermath. And that woman reborn from the ashes of disappointment, betrayal, or rejection is unshakable. She no longer chases validation. She no longer begs for belonging. She stands rooted in faith even when everything familiar is gone. Because she understands now, God doesn't subtract without a reason. When He removes, He replaces. When He allows something to fall apart, it is because He is building something stronger, something better, something that cannot be stolen, broken, or lost again. And soon, the woman who once asked, "Why did I lose everything?" begins to smile and whisper, "Now I understand." Because through the loss, she gained herself. This is the third sign, a season of shedding that feels like breaking but is actually birthing. When she begins to lose what once defined her, it is not a curse, it is a calling to walk lighter, to walk higher, to walk with God into a place only she was meant to enter. She is not being punished. She is being positioned. And when the blessing comes, she will carry it with humility because she knows what it cost. She will protect it because she knows what she had to let go of to receive it. And she will give thanks, not just for what God gave her, but for what He took away. The universe begins to speak when the soul starts listening. When a woman is about to be blessed by God, another sacred sign emerges. She begins to see repeating symbols, patterns, messages, and confirmations that seem too precise to be random. Numbers keep showing up. Scriptures appear at the exact moment she needs them. Strangers say the very words her heart has been wrestling with. She opens a book, and the sentence she reads feels like it was written just for her. Coincidences? No, these are divine echoes. At first she may doubt it. She may wonder if she's just imagining things. But over time the patterns are too loud to ignore, too consistent to dismiss. These are not accidents. They are alignments. She begins to realize that God is speaking, not in thunder, not in dramatic miracles, but in whispers, in moments, in signs. She might see repeated numbers, 111, 333, 777, or feathers on her path, or butterflies that appear during prayer. These signs become anchors, reminders, proof that she's on the right path, even when her logic doesn't agree. The deeper truth: when a woman begins to open her spirit, she also sharpens her awareness. The more she trusts, the more she sees. Because divine signs don't start showing up when you believe, they've always been there. You just start noticing them when your heart becomes aligned with something higher. These confirmations show up right when doubt begins to creep in. When she starts to lose faith, something will happen that reminds her, you're not alone. And when she's on the verge of giving up, a door opens, a word appears. A sign confirms that her steps are being guided. In this space, she realizes she doesn't need to have all the answers. She only needs to stay open. She doesn't need to figure everything out. She just needs to follow the next confirmation, step by step, day by day, faith over force. And what happens next is miraculous. Life begins to unfold with less resistance. Not because it's easier, but because she is now walking in harmony with the flow of her purpose. She learns to let go of control and lean into trust. The signs become her compass. People may not understand this phase of her life. They may call it superstition, or coincidence, or fantasy, but she knows the truth. She knows when something inside her resonates with a deeper knowing. She recognizes when a moment is more than a moment. It's a message. These divine confirmations are personal. They don't need validation. They don't need explanation. They are a love letter from the Creator to her soul, reminding her that she is seen, she is guided, she is chosen. This is the fourth sign, an awareness that becomes awakening. When signs start appearing repeatedly, she isn't being teased. She's being taught how to listen, taught how to trust, taught how to recognize the voice of the divine in everyday life. She is not chasing signs. She is becoming the kind of woman who sees them naturally because her heart is in alignment, and that is the beginning of miracles. Because when God is about to bless a woman, He doesn't always speak loudly. Sometimes He simply allows the world to echo his presence in symbols, in numbers, in timing, in peace. And when she learns to read those signs, she learns to walk by faith, not by sight. The clearest sign of God's blessing is not what changes around her, it is but transforms within her. There comes a point in every woman's journey when she looks around and sees storms. Circumstances seem uncertain. Finances may be tight. Relationships are changing. The future appears blurry. But despite all this, she carries something strange, something powerful, a peace that makes no sense. It's not the peace that comes from everything going right. It's not the peace that comes from having all the answers. This peace comes from knowing deep in her bones that she is being held by something greater than herself. This is the final and most sacred sign that God is about to bless a woman. She is calm, not because life is calm, but because she is calm. The panic that used to take over when plans failed is gone. The anxiety that once kept her up at night is silenced. The fear that once paralyzed her decisions no longer controls her. She wakes up and breathes deeply, not because her problems disappeared, but because her spirit is anchored. She walks slower, speaks softer, listens deeper. She's not trying to prove anything. She's not rushing, she is simply present. And this presence, this stillness, is not laziness, it's spiritual confidence. It is the knowing that even if things don't look good now, they are working for her good. Even if the path isn't clear, it is guided. Even if she cannot see what's ahead, she is protected. People around her may ask, "How are you so calm right now?" She may smile, because she knows they don't see the whole picture. What they don't see is the prayers she's prayed, the nights she's cried, the scriptures she's held onto. What they don't see is the quiet conversation between her and God, where He promised her that everything would align in His timing. This peace is not something she created, it's something she received. And that's how she knows the blessing is near. Because when God is about to bless a woman, He gives her peace before He gives her the promise. Why? Because if she only had peace after the blessing, her peace would depend on the blessing. But when she has peace before the blessing, it means her peace is rooted in God, not in the gift. This is the kind of peace that shifts atmospheres, that heals, that draws people in, that allows her to walk through fire and not be burned, that lets her sit in the unknown and still smile, that makes her light in a world full of fear. And soon, the external world begins to shift too. Doors open, opportunities appear, relationships flourish, because the universe always mirrors what's going on within. When her spirit becomes still, her life becomes ordered. This is the final sign, a peace that passes understanding, a calm before the rise, a stillness before the storm breaks into sunlight. She doesn't fear the waiting anymore, because now she understands the peace was the real blessing all along. When a woman carries this kind of peace, she is no longer moved by delays or denials. She trusts, she flows, she rests, and in that rest, God moves. Because when God is about to bless a woman, He places His signature in her soul first, and the world follows.